morning or afternoon or whatever the hell it is. Just watched Thunderfoot's latest video, A House Divided Itself Cannot Stand. And I'm amazed. Someone sent me a message asking me if they'd overreacted to it negatively. And I think he underreacted to it. Thunderfoot's video uses, it's an argument basically for two things. One is to discourage divisiveness in the rationalist, atheist, whatever community. And two is to help subsidize his efforts, and presumably the efforts of others. The ones who he reaches. And he uses two central metaphors in one central argument. The first metaphor is the house divided itself cannot stand passage. And the second is the metaphor of a torque. Well, here is the description.
This money can essentially translate into media access, and it's a product of how much media access and how many who hear the message find it convincing form social vectors of a sort. Maybe the easiest way to visualize it is in the form of a torque, that is, the distance of a mass from a fulcrum and the size of the mass on that rod.
So looking at that, he fails to draw a rather important connection between his two metaphors, or metaphor and simile. But the other thing he talks about is there is some kind of benefit to the way his provocative message, such as the shepherd image, such as the why do people laugh at creationist message, that this is the correct approach. And he doesn't provide any evidence for this, only asserts that this changes minds. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm saying that we have no information either way that that is an effective method of winning hearts and minds, or whatever. So, whether or not you agree with his style is not my problem. It's that there is no basis for saying that any one style is the correct method, any more than there is any base way for saying that any one religion is correct, or that any is correct. But what really gets me is the fact that we have the little red ball, which is the religious argument, with the long arm representing lots of money being spent. We have the large green ball, which represents science, reason, rationality, logic, which he equates with persuasiveness, which he does so, I believe, fallaciously, because persuasion is more often an emotional exercise than a rational one, or being persuaded is more often emotional than rational. And the tiny little momentum arm of the green ball, rationality, which indicates less money being spent. And his argument is that we should lengthen, effectively we should lengthen the moment arm of the, I'm very tired and hungover, my apologies, of the rationality argument in order to attack and counterbalance the assholes like Ken Ham. The problem with this is that I'm trying to say this politely, but it is very odd to me that a scientist, a scientist who has published peer-reviewed papers, would then bitch about peer review. Because it is that conflict, it is that dissension, it is that herd of cats problem It is that disagreement and willingness to argue and fight to defend your beliefs or thoughts, your arguments, your assertions about what is, and the evidence you have for them. That is what makes science, rationality, reason, all those sorts of things powerful, and lets us look at various techniques, when we are honest enough to do so, and determine how effective or ineffective they are, and whether they just make us feel good for feeling reasonable and piss off a whole bunch of people, or whether they actually attempt to bring other people to a dialogue. I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying he's making a very limited argument, one that is contrary to the spirit of rationality and reason, and that has little or no demonstrated merit. So, if you want to give him money, great, go for it. But that is one of the strengths of our side, is that we are open to disagreement, that we test each other's ideas, that we do not treat each other gently when we think someone is doing stupid things. So, and also, there is much more of a gradient between our side and theirs, because technically we're all kind of stuck with the same reality. So we all do have a vested interest in finding solutions that are as generally acceptable as possible. And to me, it's far more important to nail down the agreement about what this world we live in is than it is to try digging around in other people's beliefs and muck about with them. So while I support the idea, why do we laugh at creationists amused me. And naming and shaming the incredibly stupid, I'm all about that. I wouldn't have created the Inner Badger channel if I wasn't into that. But saying that the robustness of the intellectual system we have that requires open and well-defended dissent and disagreement in order to function, not just pissing and moaning for its own sake, but actual argumentation, to complain about that and point at that as a weakness when it is our strength. It is a weakness in gathering money, but we would not have gone to the moon without it. We would not have developed vaccines without it. We would not have developed an understanding of everything from stars to the human body to even our growing understanding of the human mind without that dissent, without peer review. So I don't know what to say other than realize that you do not want to cut your nose off to spite your face. And you do not want to make bumper sticker arguments. You do not want to adopt the tactics of your opponents, those people you consider your opponents, when working with the people who give what you do meaning. That's it. Thank you for your time and attention. Hopefully I will get some sleep.